than 279 million adults across Southeast Asia, including millions of Filipinos, are living with diabetes, many of them unaware they're already in the thick of it due to late diagnosis. Here in the Philippines, rising cases continue to be a wake-up call as unhealthy diets and limited screening put more families on thin ice. Our country is likewise integrating these measures into its primary healthcare system to improve long-term management. Governments, health workers, and communities are urged to double down on efforts so patients are no longer left in the dark when it comes to diabetes care. And to tell us more about the growing threat of diabetes in the Philippines and the region, we have with us tonight Dr. Monica Therese Kating Cabral, endocrinologist and current treasurer of the Philippine College of Endocrinology, Diabetes and Metabolism via Zoom. Good evening. Good evening, Doc. I'm Sharm Suspina from PTV News Tonight. Thank you for joining us on Interface. All right, Doc, let's get right down to it. How alarming or how dangerous is the current rise of diabetes cases in the Philippines, and which age groups are most at risk? What are the statistics and numbers on these?
Well, right now we're looking at about 5 million Filipinos who are diagnosed with diabetes, but there can actually be about another 15 million who are diagnosed with pre-diabetes. And that's where pre-diabetes comes from. You know, it starts somewhere. And these numbers have been increasing over the past years. If you look at our national surveys, it's going from 3 to 5 to now 8%. And the numbers are just really going to start rising. And we're seeing diabetes more in younger individuals as well.
Okay, Doc, what are the early warning signs of diabetes that Filipinos often can overlook or misinterpret? What are things that we need to look out for?
Actually, with diabetes, unless you have really bad complications, you don't feel anything. So it's kind of like a silent disease. But once you start seeing patients, you know, who have unexplained weight loss, they're always hungry, they keep eating, but they're still losing weight. They're very thirsty and they're peeing a lot. Those are some of the signs that can indicate that you have uncontrolled diabetes. But most of the time, you don't feel anything and you don't present with anything. So it's really important to get screened, to see your doctor and get tested for diabetes if you are at risk.
So, Doc, the usual yearly screenings or every 6 months, to get your blood test, that would be very helpful for early diagnosis, right?
Definitely. So we recommend that if you're 35 years or older, to start getting tested annually. And if it's normal for like 1, 2, 3 years, maybe every 3 years, but you should get tested earlier, even if you're younger than 35. If you have a strong family history of diabetes, like your parents and siblings have diabetes as well, if you yourself are overweight or obese, if you are a woman of childbearing age and you've had gestational diabetes, or if you've had a baby who was born 8 or 10 pounds heavy, because that's not the usual weight for Filipino babies. So these are the risk factors really that we should be looking at, and these are the patients who should be screened earlier than 35 years old.
Okay, why do many patients still remain undiagnosed or untreated, and what are the barriers in our health system that can contribute to this gap?
So number one, you don't feel anything most of the time, and lack of awareness. Other areas in our country, they don't have good access to healthcare, and that's one of the limitations really in getting tested. Another thing is the cost of getting tested. These lab tests aren't cheap, and medications themselves are also expensive. So sometimes, if you're given a choice between putting food on the table or taking medications, you'd rather put food on the table.
Right. But in the long run, how can families help support their children, pregnant women and older adults in managing diabetes across the different stages of life?
So you mentioned pregnant women and children. It really needs to start with pregnancy, preconception. If you are at risk for diabetes, get checked. Women who are pregnant should be checked for diabetes, screened with something called a 75-gram oral glucose tolerance test in the first trimester during their first prenatal visit. And if it's negative, it's repeated at around 24 to 26 weeks. Once these babies are born, cute babies, sometimes we make them, really chubby and fat, because cute fat babies are cute, but unfortunately, fat adults are not. So let's try and not, make our children unhealthy by giving them unhealthy food choices. So at home, if someone is dealing with diabetes, a person living with diabetes will have it very difficult to control their diet and stick to their lifestyle changes if the whole family is not involved as well. So good family support from all ages. That's one thing. And in the Philippine College of Endocrinology, Diabetes and Metabolism, we actually have this advocacy cry, apat dapat. So it's 4 letters, IWAS. I is konsulta sa doktor. W is wastong pagkain. A is aktibong pamumuhay, and S is sapat at angkop na gamot. So basically, go see your doctor, have healthy food choices, follow our Pinggang Pinoy, the way we divide our plate up into carbohydrates and vegetables and proteins. Stay active, try to exercise, 30 minutes a week, 30 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week. And of course, take your medicines properly as prescribed by your doctor.
Doc, very, very interesting, because you led into my next question. You talked about how families can help support those with diabetes and being able to manage these risks and help be able to live a healthier lifestyle. But what exactly are these lifestyle changes? And we're talking about realistic, doable, and everyday habits for Filipinos, which can significantly reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes down the line.
Definitely. So one of the things that we can cut out in our diet are sugary drinks. So I'm talking about sodas, iced tea, energy drinks, milk tea, even flavored coffees. And juice. These are sugar sweetened or natural sugar sweetened beverages that add up in terms of calories and increase your blood sugar levels very quickly. So that's one thing that you can actually cut out. Water is still the best, and buko water is not water, it's juice. Another thing that we can think about is, you don't really have to avoid things like rice, for instance. Rice is not the enemy. It's just the amount of rice that we're consuming. So if you usually eat, 4 or 6 cups of rice a day, cut it down into half, you're still going to get your rice, but at least you can limit that. The other thing is fruit. I know fruit is healthy, but it should also be limited to 3 servings per day. Basically, what fits in your hand, nothing that's too high, just something that, fits in the palm of your hand, and it should be eaten as dessert. So little things and little changes can be made that can be, more acceptable and are easier to do. And of course, eating things like processed foods, junk food, and fast food, those should be reserved as, special treats. But don't let yourself have like a total cheat day or cheat weekend, because you could really destroy all the progress that you've made of having a good week if you have a whole cheat weekend.
Doc, very interestingly, I think that it is the habit of always being fatigued or being stressed or lack of sleep that a lot of people don't really pay attention to. I'd like to know, is this a huge contributor of any to being a diabetes risk? And if so, how?
It definitely is. So when you have stressors like not sleeping, stress at work, stress at home, and stress at family, even going through traffic, really, that can increase a hormone in the body called cortisol. And cortisol can really contribute as well to increased blood sugar levels. So trying to manage stress, trying to find ways to relax, taking care of your mental health, these are also things that can help reduce the risk of diabetes getting worse and the complications that could follow.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Monica Therese Cabral, thank you for the information.
Thank you very much. Good evening.